Okay, so how do you actually build those, instant, super scalable web experiences today, especially with real-time data, AI? It feels like everything changes constantly. It's a lot to keep up with. So this deep dive is kind of a shortcut. We've pulled out the really critical stuff from sources looking at Node.js, Angular, Next.js, the cutting edge, basically.
Exactly. Our mission really is to unpack the architectural patterns, the trends that are shaping real-time web apps right now for 2025. We're looking at performance, edge computing, AI integration, all aimed at delivering that instant feel.
All right, let's dig in. First up, this study, a performance and scalability study of Node.js backend with Angular front-end architectures. It sounds like a strong vote for Node.js 20 plus and Angular 17 plus together for real-time stuff.
Well,
what makes that combo tick?
The results are pretty fascinating, and it's not just the raw numbers, though they're impressive. They got an average response time of just 38 milliseconds.
Wow, 38 milliseconds compared to what?
Well, compare that to, say, Python Flask at 112 meters or PHP LMP at 164 meters. It's significantly quicker. Okay.
But the real story, I think, is how it handles load. It's built for predictable performance when things get intense. Node.js uses this non-blocking I/O. It's like a super efficient waiter, juggling tons of orders without getting stuck.
Right, it doesn't wait around.
Exactly. That's key for real-time connections. The study showed it handling up to 8,000 simultaneous WebSocket connections with hardly any slowdown.
8,000? That's serious scale.
It is. And then Angular's ahead of time, or AOT compilation, that pre-optimizes the front end, making the client-side rendering really slick and efficient. Smooth experience for the user, consistently.
That makes sense. It's not just speed, it's speed under pressure. Okay, so back-end front-end performance is one piece. But what about getting that initial page loaded super fast? That brings us to meta frameworks like Next.js. What are these exactly? Why the buzz?
Right. Meta frameworks, think of them as extensions for UI libraries like React. They add really crucial features, things like server-side rendering, SSR, or static site generation, SSG.
Okay, SSR and SSG. Why is that important? Why render on the server? Good question. It's about getting content to the user faster and making sure search engines can see your content easily, which is great for SEO. You get pages that load incredibly fast, almost like static pages.
Uh-huh.
But they still have all the dynamic power of, say, a React app underneath. People call it dynamic at the speed of static. Best of both worlds.
Dynamic at the speed of static. I like that. And for Next.js specifically, looking towards 2025, server components seem to be a big trend. Executing on the server to cut down client-side JavaScript.
Absolutely. That means even faster initial loads, potentially better security too, because less code runs in the browser. It is definitely a shift in how you think about building things, managing data and state.
A paradigm shift.
Sort of, yeah. And you can't ignore the AI tools popping up within these frameworks now.
Yeah.
Code generation, smart completion. It's really speeding up development and arguably improving code quality too.
Interesting. Now, speaking of frameworks, there's one confusion I want to clear up. Nest.js versus Next.js. They sound similar, easy to mix up.
Ah, yes. Very important distinction. Nest.js is a back-end framework built on Node.js. It's quite different from Next.js, which is primarily for the front end or full stack, building on React.
Okay, so Nest.js is strictly back-end.
Primarily, yes. And you can definitely use them together. A Nest.js backend with a Nest.js front end is a common pattern. Nest.js is really gaining ground, especially for bigger projects in 2025. It uses TypeScript heavily, has a very structured modular design, kind of inspired by Angular, actually. Enterprises seem to like that predictability.
So compared to something like, say, Express.js, which is also node-based.
Well, Express is fantastic for building APIs quickly. It's very flexible, like building with basic Lego bricks. Nest.js is more like getting a pre-designed Lego Technic kit.
Okay.
It comes with more structure built-in things for validation, authentication, organizing code into modules, even microservices. It guides you towards a more structured, scalable application, which enterprise adoption really favors.
Got it. More batteries included, more opinionated, maybe?
You could say that, yeah, in a way that promotes consistency.
All right, now for something really cutting edge. Edge computing. Bringing the processing closer to the user. How's that changing web apps?
Edge computing is fascinating. Using platforms like Vercel Edge Functions, Cloudflare Workers, you basically run code geographically closer to the end user.
And the benefit is?
Latency. Pure and simple. It drastically reduces the time it takes for a response, making things feel much more instant. It's especially good for things like server-side rendering or middleware tasks like A/B testing or checking authentication, stuff that needs to happen fast before the main request hits your backend.
Faster responses, more responsive apps, makes sense.
Yeah.
But I saw a note about a potential pitfall, something about data.
Yes, that's a critical point. Edge functions are great, but you have to think about where your data lives. If your edge function needs to talk to a database that's far away, say, back in a central region, you might actually add latency because of all the back and forth network requests.
Yeah.
So compute at the edge is cool, but you need to consider data locality. Databases on the edge are emerging, but it's still early days and adds complexity.
Right. Always think, where's the compute? Where's the data? Good takeaway.
Absolutely. And tying this back, Node.js itself is obviously central to a lot of this. It's thriving. Key trends for 2025 include, well, even wider TypeScript adoption, which brings better safety and tooling. Microservices continue to be huge for building resilient systems. And GraphQL is increasingly popular for efficient data fetching, asking for exactly what you need. No more, no less.
So Node.js isn't going anywhere. Its role just keeps expanding, it seems. Real-time, serverless, powering these edge functions. It's incredibly versatile. This is quite a landscape, isn't it? Just incredible innovation, from the raw speed and stability of Node and Angular to the structured power of meta frameworks like Next.js, and now this distributed magic with edge computing. The toolkit is seriously sophisticated.
It really is, and it pushes you to think beyond just picking the best framework. Right. It's more about understanding these evolving architectural patterns and how they might fundamentally change how we build and deliver digital experiences altogether.
So the final thought for everyone listening, if you really can build dynamic at the speed of static, what new doors does that open? What does that mean for your next project, especially when today's cutting edge might just be tomorrow's starting point?